Good evening and welcome. It is a wonderful Monday night. Cubbie and I have taken over the show. We said, you know what? It's December. We don't care about John anymore. He deserves a lump of coal. So we are going to have the show without him. No, I'm just kidding. John's doing his typical Monday night thing and helping his town out. And so Cubby and I figured we'd come to the two of you or all of you, I should say, with the two of us, and have a little bit of a discussion tonight about something I think a lot of us need to be prepared for. I think a lot of us need to prepare. But before we get into that, Cubby, how are you doing? How are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Come up, had three events this weekend and feeling good. Resting, going to Oklahoma City tomorrow for a big event, or it's on Wednesday. But yeah, hadn't got another busy week in front of us. That time of year.
So that's going to kind of lead into some of the things that we're going to talk about today. But you mentioned three events.
Yeah,
Were any of them weddings?
I had one wedding on Saturday and a corporate event on Friday and a corporate event for Chick-fil-A on Sunday, which is
Okay.
weird because they're closed on Sunday.
Well, that's probably why. Yeah, I remember you telling me that they were going to do it. That did seem a little weird, but you know what? They don't work.
Right.
They're okay to party. They just don't work on a Sunday. I guess maybe that's the difference there. But you know what? I'm trying to see the chat here. I'm not seeing the chat at all. Somebody needs to say something in the chat so I know that we got it. Maybe I need to.
Maybe only two people are watching. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh no, there we go. There we go. Now it's starting to come in. Now it's starting to come in. Oh wait, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out sooner or later, one way or another. I hit a button and I'm thinking it works, but um, yeah, there we go. Something's there. We're there. We're
Cool.
online. That's all that matters. If people don't want to chat, then tough on them. But you talked about the corporate events, and I think that's one of the things that becomes really important this time of year. So, tonight's discussion is really going to be about those corporate parties, those corporate events, and in that instance, not the seminars, not the meetings that you may get hired out for. As awesome as those might be, this is going to be mainly focused on those corporate parties because we're in that season right now, right? It's into that holiday season. And you either have one or two things. You have a corporate group that says, you know what, we're going to have a party and we're going to call it a holiday party and we're just going to run with it. Or we're going to call it an end of the year party because we don't want to upset anybody. Whatever is the case, whatever is the case on that, it has its own challenges. It has its own challenges. And for those of you that haven't done many or maybe haven't really gotten that phone call, um, I do want to ask this question to you first, Cubby. Have you noticed an increase in the end of the year holiday parties this year over, and I don't want to say like 2020 or 2021, but maybe even over the last, let's say 10 years?
I would say prior to COVID, they were kind of slowing down. But then after COVID or during COVID, none. And I'm getting now there's a huge increase. Like we're solid all the way up until right before Christmas, and then all over January solid because some people wait till after the first of the year, so they're not competing with family events and other holiday stuff that their employees may have to go to, spouses, Christmas parties, or things of that nature.
Seen that a lot as well, but I thought maybe that I was curious if that was the case because I know like over here, that's been the case. Like it started to increase for the longest time. I wouldn't get any inquiries about it at all. And I was fine for the longest time. I didn't even take any winter events. Like I was always afraid of like snow, and I just wouldn't be able to get there or whatever. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll take a few. But then I just really wasn't getting much. And of course, then COVID happened, and it's like, okay, nobody's meeting anymore. Um, and then like this year, it feels like my inbox has been blowing up from different companies, and I'm still getting inquiries even for just this month. Like, so I think some of the corporate groups are deciding that it's okay to have one. They're deciding that they're going to have one, and they're planning last minute. So for those of you that are like, you know, we're talking about corporate parties. I don't really have any corporate parties. I'm not going to worry about it. You might still get an inquiry, even for December or January yet. As Cubby said, just to be prepared. Be prepared. It may still be coming. So there we go. All right. The guys are starting to chat in. Hey Day, hey Eric, thank you very much for tuning in. Philip, hi as well. Robin is there. Thank you very much. If you are watching this someplace other than YouTube, I'm not as talented as John. I don't get the chat in those other places. So go to YouTube. Go to YouTube And if you're going to leave a chat there, you're going to weigh in on something tonight. Make sure you're checking, make sure you're putting it in there, because that is the only place that I will see it during the show. After the show may be a different story. Um, so my plan tonight, as we were talking, I was reaching out to Cubbie, and the topic last week kind of led into this, and we started talking about some of those other things. And I really felt like that was something we needed to talk about tonight. So I kind of want us to go through a progression of a corporate event, and talk about each of the pieces throughout the night and how you handle them. Now, I want to throw a couple disclaimers out, right? So first off, we've got some great advertisers here for DJNTV, and by no means am I saying that we are doing things, contrary to what some of those advertisers offer, such as DJ Trivia and things of that nature. But I do want to mention that sometimes there are area restrictions for certain groups, or sometimes you're like, you know what? I've got a one-off type of situation, and I want to get my feet wet with this idea before maybe I jump into them. Or maybe you're the complete opposite. Like, I got a one-off situation. I don't have time to invest in figuring all these things out. Make sure you hit up the sponsors. Make sure you're checking them out. So that's the kind of the little piece I want to throw in as we talk, because some of these things might be more specific and are great if you got a bunch of time to put together, and some of them maybe not so much. So, typical holiday party. Are you noticing? Are they still starting with cocktail hour? With
Yes.
that joining time. Okay. So your events, cocktail hour happens. What are you doing during that time? Anything in particular? Any whole type of stuff?
No, I kind of, I talked to the client and I talked to him about holiday music. Do you want one every 4 songs, one every 5 songs, a holiday song? Keeping the songs, watching out for religious beliefs. And so we try to keep them more upbeat, like, not hardly any religious. During cocktail hour, just monitoring the crowd, talking to people. I have some very festive jackets that I got off Shinesty. I've got one with candy canes and one with snowflakes all over it. And people just love them. They're very simple, not too flashy or obnoxious, just simple holiday jackets that just kind of, it's just fun. They're fun jackets. So just talking to people and yeah, just watch and play music. Just play music while people are enjoying cocktail hour.
So two things I wanted to hit on. One is, what was the name of the place for the jackets again?
It is called Shinesty, Shinesty.
There you go,
And they've got,
Shinesty.
yeah, and I think Dan Blankowski, bless his heart and rest in peace. He had a lot of, I don't know if he got all of them there, but they have all sorts of the pants that match the jackets that you see people wearing, very reasonable priced. You can get just the jacket alone. You don't have to get the matching pants. They do have ties to go with it. It's not only Halloween, not only Christmas, but they have other festive jackets throughout the year, like red, white, and blue for 4th of July, and as things as well. So if you never at a wedding would I wear something like that. But at a fun corporate holiday party, or a fun corporate event, maybe as doing a 4th of July parade or something, sure, I might have one in the closet just to hang up. But truth be known, I have two: my candy canes and my snowflakes.
And I will say that you said never at a wedding. I will actually throw that disclaimer in. And I have a friend of mine who goes a little bit overboard with his, because he's got the full suit. And now he has clients that, he's talking with them, he asks them, and he doesn't just suddenly
Sure.
show up in this thing. But if you're not the type of person to go full suit, I've seen a lot of these outfits. I actually think you could pull it off as pseudo classy, right? Like fitting in, if you did a set of, black slacks and had that jacket on, because it's going to pop, it's going to have that show, but it's going to fit in more. It's not going to seem as obnoxious as if you do the full suit. I think it's just the full suit and the tie all matching the same pattern that people go, yeah, too much. Uh, but
I actually wear
uh,
jeans. I dress it down, I wear blue jeans, and I have a t-shirt with a Santa hand that goes like this. That's Lori. So it's a white t-shirt, cool t-shirt underneath, a pair of dark jeans, not any holes or anything of that nature. Very nice dark jeans, a pair of sneakers, because I'm running around. So I'm comfortable and kind of, I don't think I'm stylish, but I try to stay stylish, not cool like everybody.
you're stylish enough. You're stylish
Yeah,
enough. So there we go with that. All right. So now you brought the second thing I wanted to mention was, you talked about the music, and you said one every 4 or one every 5. I know a lot of DJs sometimes gut check to the almost the complete other extreme and are doing it, maybe not playing one every fourth or fifth song. Where did this idea, or how did you develop the idea of only doing one every four or one every five when you were putting it together?
We're inundated with quality music throughout the whole season, and some people may work in a retail outlet or retail setting, and they have to listen to music nonstop. So coming to a holiday party where you have to listen to it nonstop is not a place where you want to do it. So once again, just try to keep a cool vibe, great songs that are non-danceable but great to listen to, and then just throwing a holiday in there one every 3 or 4. So because you do have your bah humbugs, and like I said, if they are working in a retail setting or in an office, they have to listen to it constantly. You don't want to come to your holiday party and listen to it nonstop.
Good point. Very good point. By the way, if you didn't check it out, my short, it was like 2 weeks ago, I think it'll go maybe 3 weeks ago now. I gave you a great idea for getting new music, or like refreshing some, especially like the corporate style, like cocktails and dinners where you want something maybe a little upbeat, but you're not crossing that line. Two places, Happy Radio through the SiriusXM app. You just gonna search Happy Radio. There's Happy Country, Happy Oldies, like, and it's upbeat, fun music that you don't maybe necessarily would have thought of otherwise. And then similar, I went into Spotify, and Spotify's got like their curated lists. So not necessarily ones that people make, although those would work too, but ones that kind of like pull randomly through it. And I was kind of surprised and was able to add and build like a new folder of music to kind of pull from for these cocktails. So definitely something to check out. And then go watch my short again, just to give me an extra play, just because I just told you all the details here.
You're tired of your mom watching you get all your views.
Yeah, yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah, pretty
I'm
much,
kidding.
pretty
I'm
much.
kidding.
Um, all right, so Dave mentioned we had a holiday party Saturday for their veterinarian. They wanted holiday music for cocktail hour and most of dinner. After that, Mariah Carey was the only one during dancing. So keep in mind, yeah, you might have some clients
Mhm.
that are asking for that. And I do feel like I'm going to assume your veterinarian is like a smaller like office, right? Maybe 20 people, 30 people tops. I could be completely wrong on that, but I've noticed your smaller groups sometimes are a little bit more apt to go into the let's hear, nothing about holiday music. Um, but I think that's kind of the rare, especially, especially be aware of the company that you have and where they're going to be at, if they're going to want to hear it at all.
And
Mine coming up, not this weekend, next weekend, said like dinner, they actually just wanted like country. They didn't want Christmas at all. So
and retail and religious beliefs. I deal with like Facebook, and they're politically correct, and they have a lot of people that, I mean, not political, but religious. I'm sorry, religious beliefs. They may be not follow that type of religion or believe in Christmas or things of that nature. So when I work with some of the socially conscious companies, they tend to steer away from that stuff and play more PC, politically correct. But always talk to your client in the pre-setting meeting and what they want to do.
okay. Oh, Dave said they had 120 people.
Nice. It's a good party.
Big veterinarian group too. All right. So moving on. So we've got cocktail hour. You're walking around. You're chatting with people. Just to kind of give people like, is it just like small talk, or is there anything like you're trying to prep or pull to kind of get set up for later?
Love name tags. Love name tags when it comes to if I'm doing an activity later. Love name tags. Trying to find some A-type personality people that if I'm doing trivia or something, like I can kind of razz a little bit or have fun with things of that nature. Kind of watching the A-type personalities. In every corporate situation, you got every company. There's always your A-type personalities, your B and your C. A-type people love to be star of the show. Your B's and C's and D's, they want to participate, but they don't want to be the star of the show. So I just watch people's reactions and kind of like how they're interacting and the groups that they're in, so that I can make them the star of the show, and or don't not embarrass somebody or maybe pick on somebody that may not want the attention.
It's a great idea. That is because I think some people will tend to um lean on the boss or lean on the the party planner to, hey, give me some ideas of some people or some people. And sometimes how they might act at work also might be a little bit different than they'll act in a public or a more social setting. So okay, so we've got cocktails ended. Typically I'm assuming dinner comes next, right? Okay,
Yep.
so Again, I'm going to assume one every 4, one every 5, just kind of
Still.
sprinkled throughout. Okay. Anything different for dinner than you would expect?
No, I always talk, see if the CEO wants to talk about the year, either before or after dinner. If there's any service awards that they're giving, company be with the company for 1, 5, 10 years, whatever. Any recognitions, if of course, at Chick-fil-A, they did a blessing before for the meal. Not always, not every other corporate party has ever happened at. But it depends on everything that people are going. But yeah, just kind of explaining dinner if you're dismissing tables, the way it's going to happen. People are sheeple; they want to know what's going on. They want to know what to expect. So I just kind of share that, like tennis dinner styles, buffet style. Your staff here will be dismissing him or myself, whatever the case may be. Um, and then, like, if anybody wants to say, I did Morel, which is a engineering company, and the vice president was from Reykjavik, Iceland. So we did a little icebreaker called Heads or Tails, and she was meeting everybody for the first time in the Des Moines office, and so I had her flip the coin for me, and we had a great time doing it, and she ate it up, and she had a great time. So anytime I can get the vice president to be more down to earth, or like people, say more of a realistic person, and have them help me engage with people, is always a lot of fun.
Nice. Nice. So is there any other things that you're doing during dinner? Let me phrase that. Do you tend to do more of a certain style of music for the non-holiday stuff? Do you focus more on upbeat? Do you focus more? Do you want to
Upbeat,
keep things
happy, like
out?
like your happy radio. That was a great short that you did, and I loved it. And it's the happy radio stuff, and I don't, not, weddings are lovey-dovey, and you're doing some lovey-dovey songs and stuff like that. But in corporate, it's not lovey-dovey. It's not Jack Johnson Better Together. It's stuff like that. So for Jason Mraz, I'm Yours, or it's just I try to stay away from all the lovey-dovey songs, and just cool 90s and 80s non-danceable music that people love to tap their feet to, and you're not gonna pull out of your pocket later and dance to it.
Okay. Anything different from cocktail, or do you really kind of could the playlist work for both that you typically do?
I have a 2-hour playlist, so yeah, it kind of covers it. It engulfs everything.
Nice.
And no, I do not mix through it. So I know a lot of people do. That is awesome. A lot of my East Coast friends, but here in the Midwest, I'm just sometimes out working, either dismissing tables and things of that nature. So, or getting ready for the activity that we'll be doing that evening.
Huh? Um. Oh, nice. So, Nuke. I guess I'm saying that right. Does the UPS corporate holiday parties every year, and luckily they hardly even want to hear anything holiday, but they do go crazy on the dancing, like they never, like they haven't been out. Oh, haven't been out in the eons. I will tell you this: as a friend, I have a friend of mine that works for UPS. That's because from about beginning of November through the end of December, they haven't been out. They drive their truck and then they go home and they sleep, and then they come back and they drive their truck and then they go home and they sleep. That's about all they have time for those 2 months. So that's probably why. But yeah. All right. So dinner happens. One of the things that I notice in the corporate events that I have, it's usually at that point, like you mentioned beforehand, I often find that my corporations want to talk after. I think it's because they don't want to, like I had one to describe it one time. I don't want to be in the way of the food, right? Like I don't want to be the one that holds up that food because I know that's what people are waiting for. So they kind of know like if they're long-winded, nobody's waiting for food at that point. It kind of is okay. Um, so one of the things I would encourage is, if make sure, depending upon how you're set up, I have a music stand. Like fortunately my wife is a music teacher and my son plays, and so we have a music stand in the house. So I grab one of those, one of the big black metal ones, and I take that with me, and I take my mic stand, so that there is a pseudo podium, if you will, if the venue's not providing something like that for them. Um, that I've had corporate clients who appreciate that because they didn't think about that. The place you're at didn't have anything like that, and it just gave them a place to set their notes. If nothing else, I gave them this place to set their notes rather than putting it on the table in front of him and then doing one of these, like looking way down at the table trying to talk. And it's like, no, that allows things to be up, that allows it to be in their face, talking to everybody as they go. So um I would encourage you can pick, I mean, you can pick up that music stand. I think it was like 30-40 bucks um at the local store, and you can, have something that's nice quality. You can get cheaper ones, obviously. But I use that for a couple other things. We all kind of rotate it in the house, so I just make sure that it looks nice before I leave. But that's definitely one thing I would encourage you to take a stand, even if they're not planning on talking about anything, even if they don't think they're going to want a mic stand, have one there. Because then the other complaint I've heard DJs make a lot of times is, for whatever reason, you tell the owner 1,000 times, don't walk in front of the speakers. And what's the first thing they do? Walk in front of the speakers. So having a mic stand kind of gives them a good placement to be without having to worry about that. Even if you ring out your system, you can still potentially have issues that you don't have to worry about. So, um, Day brings up this piece in the chat, and I'm curious to hear about this, Cubbie. Do you find door prizes or non year associated giveaways, do you find that happens much?
Oh, you mean like they give away gifts at the holiday party?
Yeah, and I think kind of the idea of just the door prize, like they'll randomly pull a name out for,
Mhm.
Bobby, okay, come on up and grab your TV that we just decided to give you. Um, do
We
do you have that often? Do you?
Oh yes, always. We had 60 to give away on Friday night. And then Chick-fil-A had a bunch as well. And then for the Chick-fil-A, it was like the number for each 100 hours you worked, you got a ticket to put into a basket of something you wanted to. And so you got to try, if you worked full time and worked a lot of hours, then you had a lot of tickets to put in there. But yeah, the Friday night one, which is an engineering company, they had 60 different prizes to give away. And we were just pulling out tickets nonstop. Like I was just pulling out raffle tickets, and I always volunteer to do it because I have no skin in the game. I don't play favorites. It doesn't get the lady from HR, the holiday committee person pulling their friends or whatever, because it's. So I'm usually the one that just reads out the numbers and kind of go through it fairly quickly. But yeah, we had 60 prizes to give away.
Do you do any? So you mentioned just pulling the tickets. Have you suggested, or do you have anything that you've tried to convince them away from just the ticket? Of course, with 60, it's probably like, let's just get this through this thing. So whichever's the
Yeah.
fastest. But
Yeah,
um,
we actually did trivia that night as well. We did 4 rounds of trivia, but they had separate prizes for the rounds winners. So they literally had 60 gifts to give away to either spouses and or employees. And I've got some that I got one coming up that's got specifically spouse presents and specifically employee presents. So yeah, so like I said, it's my job to and sometimes I'll make some comments, jokes as people kind of walk up. I'm like, man, that guy's got a lot of Kohl's cash. He's wearing like khaki pants and a plaid shirt or something. Or there was a guy on Friday night. He had like long hair, and Jason Momoa is from Norwalk, Iowa. He was born in Hawaii, but he lived in Iowa, was grown up in Iowa, and he went back to Hawaii. And I was like, that looks like Jason Momoa from Wish, and I was cracking up. They like sometimes I'll let some slip out like little jokes, kind of like having fun with people. And yeah, they have a good time with it.
nice, nice. All right, so door prizes happen. All
Mhm.
right, we have the presentation, we have the speech by whatever. The next piece is really what I wanted to focus on tonight. So all that stuff was good, and I think it's good for us to know, but I think for some of us, that's stuff that if we've done a couple in our life, we kind of have learned the hard way, if not otherwise. The piece that I think comes next is where a lot of DJs are afraid to go, right? Because they feel like if I got hired as a DJ, then I need to be a DJ. And so as soon as he's done talking, the only option I have is dancing. And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that. So first off, let's talk about the negatives to the dancing aspect. This is why a lot of times you run into problems with the dancing. Cubby, what because you mentioned this, I think it was last week. So what are some of the things, what are the reasons why people don't want to be dancing at their company holiday party?
They don't want to be made fun of from their drunk dance moves all year long. Like, you remember Susie's drunk dance moves or how she spun on the dance floor? they're sometimes they lose, and they lose inhibitions. They had too many drink tickets. Somebody didn't drink a lot and they had too many drink tickets, and they make an ass of themselves, and then it just ruins the party, dancing crazy or whatever. But yeah, it's they nobody want plus the inhibitions. They have to go see these people. They work with them 40 hours a week, and they just don't want to be either talked behind their back or whatever. So that's some I feel some of the problems that we have at dance with dance portions of it.
And you mentioned the drinking aspect, and I think that's a key element for some people, right? Because when you think about the public setting, right? So if you're doing something that's on the dance floor, there's going to be people that are on the outskirts that haven't gone to the floor. Either they won't ever because they're that type of person, or they just haven't yet, and they're seeing other people on the dance floor. If you've been around some drunk people, you know that the more they drink, the harder it is for them to hide it when they're up and they're moving around. As opposed to if they are drunk at a table, their table might be the only ones who necessarily notice it until it's the end of the night, and you got to help them get the ride home. So that can be definitely another piece. The other piece that I've run into, and this is kind of a little bit more, they get worried about this, is just like the uncomfortable nature of that employee. And the way I'll put it is this, right? You get some girls, they're having a great time on the floor, and then you get one of the guys, typically this is what I've seen happen. You get one of the guys that comes on the floor and he decides that he's going to dance with them. But as opposed to dancing with them, it becomes dancing on them. And that becomes a whole other barrier of a problem for a lot of them. So I've seen some dance floors, especially at corporate groups, almost die immediately because of one or two of these, employees that tend to make others feel uncomfortable. And nobody wants to talk to them about it, about, hey, they're not interested. This is not the place for
Yeah.
it, things like that. Um, so that are some of the things that where you may not find. Now, I will say this. I've had some great company parties. I've had some great company dance parties. Um, where, kind of like Days mentioned, like the owner takes care of everything and then gets to the point of the night, talks to the venue and says, listen, I'll come back. I'm gonna square out this way, but I don't need to be here to see my employees act a certain way. And they get out knowing it's just an opportunity for them to cut loose and not be judged by the boss. Um, but but that's not always the case. So how do you even bring up that idea? And you're probably at this point, you're probably known a little bit, obviously, for what you've done. But what my issue would be coming to the company party and going, you've hired me to be a DJ, but I've got a different idea. How do you broach that subject with them to possibly like think of something else in the night?
So in my sales consultation, after I get the lead in, I call them and say, "Well, talk to them. What have you done in the past? We've had dueling pianos, we've done this, or we've tried this, and we've tried a casino night, and like, well, how'd that work out for you? And what was the pros and the cons? And we're looking for something different. So then I suggest either doing trivia and or musical bingo or some form of minute to win it type games, which I've got some that are very I like to call it team building. We do team building games and like make sure that everybody's involved, not just one or two, but just everybody's involved. And that way everybody can partake in it. But even spouses who don't know anybody or maybe meeting for somebody for the first time, because if they're like a new hire, they've only been there for 1 year. So it's their first holiday party and everybody's a little bit awkward. So we said, well, we offer musical bingo, we offer team trivia where the whole table plays, it's not one or two. And I said it spurs conversations, amongst team members and employees and spouses, and people end up having a great time. Like that's well, then they ask me to tell more about it. So
All right, so tell me more about it.
um so we as I've shared numerous times before this, we do trivia at several different locations in my metro area. I've been doing it here for probably 16, 17 years. I'm not part of our sponsors. I love DJ Trivia. They're amazing, but they're like a Subway. You can buy a market, and then nobody else can have it in that market. So somebody's already got that market and got that trademark in my market. So I have no chance of getting DJ Trivia. I do DJ Bingo. There's other different bingo things out there, but the DJ Trivia is exclusive to an area, and you buy into that area. So I create my own, and I've been doing it for, like I said, 17 years. So we do 5 rounds of trivia is my suggestion. We do round number 1, which is round of general knowledge, kind of questions all over the place. Round number 2 is a photo picture round. We actually pass out pictures. Team tables work together while I'm grading up round number 1. I'll collect round number 2, grade them, give the answers to rounds 1 and 2. I'll see about the prize situation. It's always in the consultation, the meeting where we do timelines and stuff. Like, are you going to have round prizes or overall, or how are we going to do this? Round number 3 is name that tune. I always try to come up with something fun. I've done barbershop quartet, popular songs done barbershop quartet style, which is a lot of fun. There is, thanks to artificial intelligence or AI, there are thousands of versions of Apple Bottom Jeans with different melodies. It's hilarious. And so I'm like, name the original song, and then tiebreaker is the artist. So you get your 10 points by knowing the song. And if 2 teams tie in that round, the team with the most correct artist would then take that round. And it's hilarious. People laughing. It's a great time. Round number 4 is an audio clip round. What I call an audio clip round. It's things I use from TV shows, commercials, movies, just clips from, it could be holiday movies, could be theme songs of TV shows. It could be name this actor, whatever you hear his voice. With corporate, a lot of times I like to do movie themes, like I Believe I Can Fly by Space Jam, Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard, The Goonies, that throws people off. So I like to try to do movie theme songs because it's very popular. And then the last one's another round of general knowledge. Once again, questions all over geography, history, sports, everything, entertainment. And everybody can play at the table. Literally, it's a team effort.
Nice. So do you have sheets that you're passing out? Because since you're making up your own, I'm assuming there's not an app involved or anything like that.
Correct. And I'm not a fan of the app based. That's just me. A lot of people do great things, and it's just not me. I like the interaction of picking up the answer sheets, going by table by table. How'd you do? What do you think about that one? Is it this? And that's why it just builds that rapport with each and every table. And I'll run back and grade. I'm a paper guy. They're small, and I pass out. I have those in the center of the table. I'll start passing those out near the end of dinner with a pen, so that one person writes for their team. So not everybody's writing answers. I always say pick the person that has the best handwriting. And if I see a guy at the table, I'm like, you look like a doctor, so I'm guessing it's not going to be you writing. Just fun stuff, and think of a creative, fun team name. My couch pulls out, but I don't. The Titanic swim team, funny. Trivia Newton John Trivialta, stupid stuff, right? Just fun ones. Sometimes they'll get their company name involved in it, and it's always fun for that. Like I said, just kind of read questions and have fun with them.
So five rounds.
Yes, sir.
10 questions each round.
10 questions each round. Yes, sir.
Okay. How long does one of those games take?
It all depends on
through those.
Yeah, it all depends on the number of tables. We had 17 tables on Friday night, and I did 4 rounds, and I got done in an hour and a half. We cut out the final general knowledge round. So we just did the hot ones. Name that tune, photo picture round. Started with general knowledge, rolled into photo picture round, then did name that tune, and then the audio clip round.
That took an hour and a half?
At 17 teams.
Okay. I guess part of me, I'm just trying to think like the
flow.
Exactly.
It gives so when I'm grading, it gives them time to use the restroom and go and grab another beer. Okay. So they're not sitting the whole time. And then I'll go give the answer round number 1. And then while I'm reading the answers, they still may be at the bar, but they can hear the answers. And then they'll get their drink and go sit down before I start reading the questions to the next round.
Okay. So because earlier you had mentioned, I misheard you. I thought you were grading while you were asking the second round questions. And I'm like, well, if you're constantly doing that, I'm like, man, there's no in between time. Like, what the? But,
yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
To clarify, I read the questions to round number 1, And then as I'm picking those up, I'm passing out the round number 2. So while they're working on round number 2, I'm grading round number 1, and then I'll collect round number 2, grade. That's when they can go grab their beers, use not all the time to use the restroom, but grab a drink or whatever. And then I'll grade up round number 2, then give the answers to 1 and 2, and then it goes back and forth. I do the round, I collect them, I grade them, I give the answers, and so on. And if it's a huge party, I'll talk to the holiday committee about, okay, I'm going to need a couple of Vanna Whites. I'm going to need a couple of people to help me, and that they usually don't have a problem doing so.
Nice. All right, so trivia is one idea. Again, obviously, if you have some talent at that aspect of creating, this can be done on your own. If not, reach out to the different sponsors, reach out to DJ Trivia, see if it's available in your market. That'd be ideal right there, because then you don't have to. I know for me personally, I would need help coming up with the questions, right? I feel like in my head, I would either go way too easy or way too hard, and there'd be no way in the middle. It'd be like Jeopardy for celebrities, or it would be the Jeopardy championship round, and that would just be bad. So with that in mind, reach out and get that taken care of. So okay, so that's how you're handling trivia. How did you mentioned music bingo?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so walk us through that setup and the flow and how you go about that.
So I call musical bingo my beer drinking, no thinking kind of a game, because you can use your phone in bingo where you can't use your phone in trivia. So in musical bingo, you can use, if you don't have access to a screen, depending on the locations you have, the program that I use is Hit Mix Bingo, and you can plug your laptop into a screen if close, TV or whatever, and what it does is it scrambles the title of a song. And then near the end of the 35 seconds, it'll unscramble it. So then if they just dumb in a box of rocks, don't know the song, can't figure out what the scramble is, it'll go Barbie Girl, right? Or whatever. And then they can look for it real quick on their card and mark it off. And then a great feature of it is it scrolls the songs that were already played. So if maybe you missed it, or maybe you stepped away, you'll see, oh, that was on my card, I missed it. So it's always giving the answers. With bingo, it's still team building, but only one winner. So you have less prizes to get. So in trivia, if you got an 8 top table, you've got to get 8 gift cards, Jimmy John's, Subway, whatever. With bingo, you only need to get 1 card because there's only going to be 1 winner.
Okay.
And through the years, we've created 44 different rounds. I've got Disney, one-hit wonders, sing-along songs, 90s rap, country through the ages, 2000 country, literally everything you think of, Dead and Gone, Pop Princesses, King of Pop, all that stuff. So we let the company choose. Rock of Ages, think hair bands. We let the company choose the 4 rounds. We guide them, like if they're like, and let them know what works really better. With bingo, we play a single bingo first, so single bingo anywhere in the card. Second round is a double bingo, 2
All right, for the
bingos.
non-bingo people, what's double?
2 bingos anywhere in the card.
Okay.
And then round number 3, there's several different options. You can do like a picture frame, which is only the outside titles of the card. It's a 5x5 card, so you're just doing the outside of the card, so a picture frame. Or you could do an X, or you can just do the inside box and forget about the outside. So whatever, and that takes a little bit more songs to get through. And then the last song would be like a complete blackout. I mean, every song on your card, every box checked. So that round, you want to have an amazing round. That's because that's where they've been celebrating. That's just a fancy word for drinking, and they're drunk and they're singing along. So like 80s hair bands, one-hit wonders, whatever, right? And so they're all singing. Who remembers this one? And you get them just singing at that time. Round number 1, you want to kind of do, and I don't want to use, you want to do the slower, like a Disney. You don't want Disney on the last round. So you want something Disney's fun, or maybe moldy oldies or super 70s or something that may not, it's gonna appeal to some of the older employees, but it's not going to appeal to everybody. But you're not playing 60 songs, right? So in each of these folders that I have of the 44 different songs, I have 75 songs in each folder minimum on a 5x5 card. so that the like I said, the more difficulty it gets, the more songs that you're playing, and you're only playing the 35 seconds of a song. So, and you always want to play as you're creating your playlist, you want to hit the chorus. You're not trying to stump them. It's bingo. You want to get to the chorus where it gives the title. That's okay. People love to sing the choruses, and music bingo takes them back to a place. Man, that was my jam in high school. You remember that song? Or it just takes them back to places. And memory. Music always triggers memory, and specific memories as you were growing up, or maybe family things. And it's a lot of fun. But save the best round to last. And that should be that should be the best prize, right? Because it's the hardest to get. And then I tell my clients that, the single bingo, maybe not so much, like maybe $10 or $25, whatever your budget is. And then so the harder they become, to get, the better the price should be.
So for those of you that are kind of thinking, like I was just doing the math here for a second of that last round alone. Because exactly as I said, that needs to be the cream of the crop, if nothing else. So 25 spots, because it's a 5x5, 35 seconds each. I mean, that's 13 minutes of songs with nothing else but that, assuming they had every single one on the card. So
okay, Rain Man, holy cow.
I teach math. I teach math. It's all right. It was immediately what went to my head.
Okay, Rain Man.
So But I say that because, like, if you're thinking about different things, like one of the things you do need to think about is going to be the amount of time that these things are involved, right? Because if you have a party that says, okay, we're going to do cocktails, we're going to do dinner, and then we're going to do awards, and then we're going to jump right into dancing or whatever the festivities are for the night, but they only leave you an hour for those festivities, you might be crunched to be able to do all of those. Yes.
So based on your timeline, you don't have to do picture frame. You don't have to do blackout. Right. You can go single, double, meaning single bingo, double bingo, single bingo, double bingo. So don't think that you have to do. We do the musical bingo at several different bars again, and that it's a 2-hour bar promotion. So that does eat up the 2 hours. And if you are doing it, don't worry about investing in daubers like you see at a bingo hall. Go out and buy crayons. Just go to your dollar store. I buy them in bulk. I have 7,500 crayons. There's like $25, and they're real Crayola crayons. Because we do these locations, a lot of locations, and daubers, they sit in your garage. They sometimes get hot and melt, and sometimes they get cold, and then people get, you get the moms calling you because they got stuff all over their shirt, and so I just use crayons. You're not gonna lost for crayon breaks, and so it's a very low investment for it. And that's the whole thing is low investment, high on return.
Now you mentioned the cards. Is the program that you're using, does that create the cards, or how do you? Okay, because I'm like, that would be the other piece, that randomly making that set so you'd have it for 200 people or whatever. That could be a pain.
Hit Mix Bingo, you put all your 75 songs in there that are edited, and I don't mean to say DJ Bingo has their own list and create the songs, and they're amazing. The program that I use has 75 songs. It'll create the cards. There's 2 cards per pieces of paper. I can logo them all over it. My logo I can put the company logo on there, but I always keep mine on there somewhere, and my web address. So if I'm at a bar, if I'm at, at a company party, and a wife is sitting next to, she's at her husband's Christmas party, she goes, well, this would be fun for ours, right? So now you're getting additional business because other people are seeing what fun, because their holiday party sucked this year and they want to do something different next year. So then we had fun at our event. So the next year you pick up another company. So yeah, and it creates the cards. And if there's 100 people, you only have to print 50 pieces of paper because you cut them in half.
Nice. I'm loving this. I'm instantly thinking, I'm like, is it too late to convince my people to do something else? The answer is no. By the way, the answer is no. Now, will they do it? That's a different story. But is it too late? No. The event hasn't happened yet. There's still time. You just have to make sure you put the pieces together. And make sure you kind of get that set up before you suggest it to them, or you might be driving yourself nuts for the next week and a half.
Or reach. Yeah, man, I'm telling you right now, I'll help anybody. Any questions off air tonight, not a problem. You can call me directly, email me, Facebook me, set up time to chat, and I'll literally go through everything. That's what we're here to do, is build each other up, and so we can all raise the bar and all have a great time and make a lot of money.
One of the other things I think that's kind of cool from the idea of the trivia games or the music bingo or anything like that, you're not going to lose the people the same way that you could on a dance floor, right? Because it's one of two things happens a lot of times when you get to the dance floor. You know, they're dancing along, they're having a great time. And Cubby, you shared this story before you came on where, you know, you had the corporate party and there was two things basically happening, right? You had the younger people who are wanting basically hip hop or, you know, that style, and you had the older people who are wanting just old, like old style. Like, and there was not a lot in the middle, and there's not a lot of crossover in any way, shape, or form to be able to keep things going. So what ends up happening is when their style isn't on, they'll go and maybe get a drink. But after a couple of times like that, they kind of get fed up and they're out the door, right? Or they're looking at the watch and, you know, and everything else. And then, you know, and you can still have a great dance floor and with the group that decides to stay, but it's not going to have that same impact. These other type of events, whether it's trivia, whether it's music bingo, um, or something else, has the ability to appeal to all audiences. And there's no dance ability factor that you have to worry about. There's no lanes out there on the dance floor, right? And you get a chance to kind of hook them. Could they still get tired after a game or two? Yeah, like there's still that possibility, but it's not they're doing, if that would be the case, they would do it because they're getting tired or they have to get home for the sitter, not doing it because I'm bored and my songs aren't playing. Like
I've
that's
Yeah, I've never had anybody walk out during an activity ever. Never during trivia and or bingo. They never got just got up and left. Like I said, unless it was a babysitter situation, like had to be home by 9 because that's how the babysitter had to be home by. But never, and always save your prizes or your raffles or whatever to the last portion of the night, to the last time that you can do it, because some people will come for the prize and then just go home afterwards.
I've had a few do that where it's like they get done with the awards and everything else that they're doing, and then they instantly go, all right, let's get rid of all the door prizes. And I get it to a degree because they don't the committee doesn't want to be worried about it, right? They don't want to have to handle anything. They want to be able to be off the clock then for the remainder of the night so they can start partying too. But yeah, I mean it's the same idea. Like those of you who do school dances, like instantly what comes to mind is the groups that do the school dance or that do the, you know, king and queen of whatever the dance is, you know, third of the way into the night, and then wonder why the kids leave like a half an hour later. It's because they're going to go do what kids do. It's you know, same type of thing with your, you know, people. Not saying you have to save a raffle, but you get a better deal with that. Are there anything else? Is there any other activity? We're about out of time here, so we
Oh
probably can't
man.
go as much in detail. I know it went fast tonight. Is there any other things that you do or any other activities that you that you do?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do the heads or tails game. Are you familiar with that
Okay,
one?
I I think, but let's assume I'm not.
Okay, it's a very simple icebreaker, and all you need is a quarter. And you say, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna play heads or tails. You put your hands on your head, or you put your hands on your tail. I'm gonna flip a coin, and if it's on tails, if you everybody with their hands on your heads, you have to have a seat. If it's on, so we just go through, we work through, and then they give us small gift cards. Great icebreaker. This guy's not that bad. I didn't have to do anything too crazy, kind of like him. He's funny, and so that's a great icebreaker game. Scott favors a wealth of information. There's another guy out there, and his name starts with a T. And I want to say his name is Todd. He's got a Facebook page. I like
Yeah,
to do
Party Games with
games.
Todd. Look that up.
Yes,
I found
I knew
out
it.
about him at DJX, and
Yes,
I instantly jumped on that group. So yeah,
couple different games I like. I like to use things that I can do multiple in an evening, like Hershey Kisses. One of my favorite game is a relay game. So maybe you have a company that has departments, and the departments are competitive, right? You've got, maybe you're doing a large grocery chain store. You've got food, you got produce, you got meat department. I'll bring up 5 people, and I'll go to the dollar store and I'll get oven mitts with no hands, right? And you have to unravel a Hershey Kiss and feed it to the person behind you, but yet you have no fingers. It's really hard to do that, right? So then you're trying to unravel the Hershey Kiss and feed the next person. That person takes the gloves off. So it's a relay race, and then you get, you can do it 5, 8 people, whatever number. Once again, work with your crowds. How many you different have. Another game that I like to do with Hershey Kisses, I call it the kissing game. and it's where you get everybody stand up in front of each other, and you say, "Well, I hope you stand next to the person you really enjoy because we're playing a kissing game." What? And then what you do is you use plastic spoons, and you put a Hershey Kiss on the spoon, and you have to pass it to the person behind you. So try to set your people up tall, short, because it gets really funny them trying to get it. If the kiss drops, it goes back to the front, so you can pass the kiss all the way back to 5 people. And then the back person has to run it to the front person, and because the front person always has to get one on their spoon as well. So once again, 2 games that I'm only one biting one bag of Hershey Kisses, and I've got some cheap plastic spoons and the oven mitts I buy at the dollar store that I can use over and over again.
I'm jotting this down. I'm probably gonna forget like 2 minutes after we're done if I don't.
You can call me
Um,
tomorrow.
I know, I know. I just may end up doing that, Cubbie. I really might because this is gold. This is absolutely gold. Like
And I love doing the scavenger hunt. I do a lot of scavenger hunts at weddings for it that takes place at the dollar dance, but I love doing a scavenger hunt at a corporate event as well. Have you seen a scavenger hunt, Dan?
I've only heard I've only heard you describe the one that you've done for weddings.
It's the same format, but instead of
Okay.
the last 2 people collecting money, I always pick, go find me. It's got to be clean. It's got to be clean. Go get me a square of piece of toilet paper, and they run out of the room to the bathroom. And ladies and gentlemen, when they come, these 2 people, because you only got 2 people, when they come through that door, give them a big round of applause. They're fighting for this, this card or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they're fighting in the bathroom to try to get that clean piece of toilet paper and run back. And it gets vicious. It gets vicious. And make sure you do carry liability insurance. No, I've never had to use it. I'm kidding. But that was one chair left, and they go fight for it. But I always pick the last one when it's not a wedding. If I'm doing a wedding, then it's who can collect the most money. But with this one, it's it's got to be clean, square piece of toilet paper, and it's fun because they have to run. It's the farthest place they got to run, and they're not
Oh my
expecting
gosh.
it.
Of course not. Of course not, because everything else is gonna be in the room. That's
Yes.
awesome. That is awesome. Um, oh my gosh, like that's great. We are out of time though, so
Crap.
I'm going to kind of put a kibosh right there. Again, Cubby has offered to be a wealth of knowledge. Don't ask me because I'm horrible at this kind of stuff. But think about this, right? When you're thinking about yourself, right? People love to play games. People love to, they might be shy, they might be on the outskirts. Like I know when I've gone to DJX, I love Jake and party games that he's done, but a lot of times I like to sit back and I like to watch more of what's happening. The great thing about some of these games is you get especially some of the ones that he was just mentioning, you get an opportunity for those people that are that type of personality that like to watch, right? They like to watch what's going on and have that's their fun. And then you have others that are going to jump in and they're going to participate and everything else. I'm very competitive. You get me into the game, I'm going to play. But if you just kind of like reach out, and kind of look for some things, you might have difficulty. So also the one thing I would encourage you to do when you're looking for those those games where you're not inviting everybody, as Cubby said, look for those personalities in the beginning of the night that you might be able to pull from, or look for a creative or an easy way to pull somebody up from the table. Whoever has the birthday closest to today, or stupid things like that. Sometimes just kind of takes that volunteer piece out of it, because with volunteers, sometimes that's a hard piece to overcome. But if it's just, hey, come on, if your birthday was within the last 5 weeks, come on up, whatever might be the case. So, all right. Anything else you want to add?
Man, just have fun with it. And as you're pitching this, let the people know that it includes the spouses. So, like as you said earlier, everybody can play. And the most important thing is including spouses who are getting dragged to their company holiday party that don't want to be there. But because it's not boring because they remember their own, and it's just something. Just be fun, relax, and have a great personality, and you'll rock it. You'll have a great time.
And it's different.
Yes.
It's different than what they've been doing for however many time, and that works for smaller groups, it works for larger groups, right? Because that's the other thing
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you run into. You got a smaller office group. Think about that. If you don't have everybody on the dance floor, it looks like nobody's on the dance floor, and so it gives you an opportunity to kind of pull everybody in. So awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so what have we got coming up? Well, coming up in just a few minutes out at djntv.com/chill, We have the lovely hanging with Howie, and the guys are going to be hanging out. I have no idea what they are talking about, but they are going to be doing their thing. That is, again, DJNTV.com/chill. Robin was nice enough to put that into the chat for us. So thank you very much for that, Robin. Coming up tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, Josh Lask is going to be with Big Daddy. They're going to be talking about Josh is one of those new up and comers, which is the idea behind Big Daddy, kind of introducing us to some people that we may not have heard about before. Now, maybe you have heard of Josh, but if you haven't, I encourage you to tune in tomorrow night at 9, and you kind of get some information about him and what he's doing, and maybe some inspiration from him. And then at 9:30, we've got Ben Stowe doing news from LDI. So for those of you that are not familiar with the LDI show, Ben is going to be sharing some great news about that to kind of get you excited. And then 10 o'clock, the Tuesday night music show is going to be recording again back out at DJNTV.com/chill. And then Wednesday night at 9, you've got the replays of Hanging with Howie and the Tuesday night music show. And of course, John's got his tip that will drop tomorrow morning. I've got my tip that will drop on Wednesday morning. So a whole bunch of great stuff is happening, and your job is to make sure you're checking it out. Got it?
Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. Exactly. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful time. I encourage you all to maybe reach out to those parties that you have on the docket. Get it, what we talked about tonight in place, and get ready to go. Of course, do your work now before you propose it to them, but then get it ready to go. And I want to hear back. If you tried something, reach out to us. Let us know how to go. Did it work for you? But again, be fun, be entertaining. That's going to be the key for it all. All right. On that note, have yourself a great, great night, and we will see you back here next week. Bye, everybody.